Okay, so I messed up when I was applying to ESPN and when I was applying to NASA for internships. I put WAM down on my resume with a link to it. So they'd probably be looking at this episode. So I need everyone in the comments to be cool. I need just to have I just need a good environment. I need a job. So let's just all play it cool.
Just all be cool, guys. Everyone calm down. No one talk about any neo-Nazi stuff. No racism. No sexism. No hate speech. No starvation.
No starvation.
I kind of ran out of things. I was just trying to think of bad stuff.
As long as we don't recreate Journey to the Center to the Earth, I think we're gonna be okay.
Then we're gonna be okay.
Are we gonna release that ever?
Fault.
Are we ever gonna release that episode?
Hey, maybe. But welcome to WAM.
Welcome to WAM.
This week, episode 10, triple digits.
I was gonna make
Vivarium.
that joke.
Yeah, fuck you. We watched Vivarium, which was 2019?
2019, yeah.
Good. I thought it was quite okay.
I thought it almost appeared like a good movie. It just was like missing like a one scene or maybe two scenes that would have just like perfected things.
There wasn't a lot of payoff and there wasn't a lot going on until like the hour mark.
Yeah. I started watching this movie, and I took notes on it because I just want to be able to remember what I'm thinking during it. Then I got a call from some dude that I know, I'm friends with, Tony, and he said, "We're gonna go grab Chick-fil-A right now." I go do that. I feel like crap afterwards. I don't know. Their new sandwich is killing me. And then I came back. Sandwich? Yeah, they have like a special honey sandwich now. That's really good.
What, like spicy honey chicken, or is it just like honey?
It's some sort of I'll look up Chick-fil-A new sandwich. Chick-fil-A new sandwich. The honey pepper pimento chicken sandwich.
Oh, pimento.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, pimentos. Yeah, that might hurt your stomach. I think pimento is like a weird cheese.
The cheese was yummy.
It's a boy named Finger. Love those sandwiches.
Walter,
give me my pimento sandwich, Walter.
So, well, okay, you just rewatched this movie again, right?
Yeah. This was the second time I watched this. Originally, my girlfriend Miranda had recommended it to me, and we watched it. And it was a while ago, but I remember really enjoying the movie and just thinking it was a really interesting idea.
Okay. I think, I don't know. I want to talk about two things. Tell me which one I should do. Just pick one or two.
I'm gonna go number 2.
Okay. This was really well timed for being pre-COVID, right?
Yeah, it was perfect timing for it. Like everyone was, they weren't scared yet, but then they were scared of being trapped in their homes.
I mean, yeah, this obviously has a lot of ties, I guess, to just like fears of suburban lifestyle, but
just like suburbia, kind of being locked into like, I guess people that don't want to subscribe to the idea of like having the nuclear family kind of thing.
Yeah. It plays a lot into like just like isolation that you feel like in suburbs. It plays into the roles that you find yourself forced into of being a mother and like finding yourself in this job that's killing you and stuff like that.
Yeah, but or like an excavator.
Yeah. The wife when I have to go and be an excavator.
Oh, bro, she hates when I dig the hole.
But this plays a lot better into like the isolation problem that happened right with COVID.
Yeah, I think it definitely was. I mean, they obviously couldn't have known, but the timing was perfect for that. And then, I mean, for the beginning of the movie, we start out with our main character. She works at like a little elementary school, and he's a groundskeeper. And there's a little interaction at the start with a cuckoo bird, like taking over the nest and pushing a baby out. And then a little girl's like, "Why is the baby dead?" And our main character woman is like, "I don't know. That's nature. It sucks." And she's like, "Yeah." And then our guy walks over, our Andy Samberg almost. And
you can't say that just because they're both Jewish.
the hair and the schnoz and they're white. That's like enough.
Jesse Eisenberg is just
Jesse
Andy
Eisenberg,
Samberg
yeah.
with sass.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
sass, and like he looks like he invented Facebook.
Yeah.
But in the beginning they have that whole little thing with the baby bird being
Yeah.
pushed out, and then he
Mm-hmm.
covers it up, and that really like just it's a really
Yeah.
direct I guess foreshadowing of the rest of the movie.
That beginning is like the nicest that Jesse Eisenberg has ever been as a character.
Yeah, he was so silly,
Yeah, he was
being a
so
tree.
silly. He was a tree, and just I don't know. He seemed really lighthearted, and usually he's just playing like an asshole character. And he's harsh in this movie, but he's understandably harsh.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, like he goes kind of insano, but I think that's understandable at that point. The woman is like
yeah,
is more like how I don't know how they can kill themselves faster, really.
yeah. I mean, I find myself not like thinking any decision that Tom makes in this movie is the wrong decision.
Yeah, I was on him with killing the kid. I was all for that.
Yeah,
So
and
I guess for context first,
yeah,
like
yeah.
so our main character, our couple, they leave the school. You know, they go to this whatever this realtor office to buy a home in a new
Mhm.
subdivision. This weird guy is like, "Hey, we got homes," brings them to her, and then they show them the house, and they're kind of like, "Well, we're not really into it, but we'll go take a look. It couldn't hurt."
Yeah.
They go there, they drive in. It's like super suburbia meets Dr. Seuss, like Cat in the Hat set design.
Mhm.
Um, and then they go in the house, they look at it, and they're like, "Neat," and then they go to walk out, and the guy is gone that brought them there, and his car is gone, and then they're trapped. And, like, no matter how far they walk, no matter how far they drive, they just can't leave this place, and they always come back to the
Mhm.
same number 9 house. And then on the
Hey,
second day
Nick.
or whatever, they have this little kid show up, and then we go from there, and they have food showing up every day.
When we get to the salesman and we get there, you this is such a weird connection for me to make, but everything he does when he moves, it seems like I don't know, those memes people have about cringe stereotypes of theater kids. Like,
Yeah.
um, actu I saw you over in the corner.
Yeah,
I
he
was
looks like
wondering
he has
if
a
you'd
stick
like
up his
me to come
ass.
to you?
Yeah. That's completely valid, that works, and he's, like, kind of, like, half smiling, like, and, like, twitching. They're all like that.
Yeah. Uh,
Um, but then the movie they keep going out, and I think, like, there were some really nice shots in this movie.
the
Um
cinematography, when it's wide, is
mm,
really, really good.
yeah, I thought it was well, I didn't notice it more when it was wide. I was mostly thinking of at the very beginning when,
Mhm.
whatever, Andy Samberg,
Jesse Eisenberg.
that w it
His
it's
character's
both
name is
Berg.
Tom.
It's too much Berg.
This is
Whenever
You
Tom
cannot say there's too much Berg.
too much Berg,
Come on, you sound like Hitler right now.
God, you communist. That's a different war. Um,
Technically the same war.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. Uh,
They were also there.
Bubba, what was I saying?
You were talking about Jesse Eisenberg in cinematography.
Oh yeah. So at the start of the movie, at like the way start, he gets really stressed out after they can't get out of the neighborhood, and he lights a
Mhm.
cigarette, and then he takes a little quick two puff, and then throws the entire ass cigarette out like an asshole. Um, who does that? First of all, A,
Well, that was
who throws cigarette butts out? B, who throws a whole cigarette out? Um, and then we zoom in on the cigarette, and like we see them going and leaving again, and then we just stay on it, and then we see it turn to ash, and it's
Yeah,
nighttime, and they're coming back. I really like that
yeah,
transition, and there's some
that's
stuff
true.
in this movie that were really similar to that, where it was just a really smooth, like everything is so similar that it just blends into each other so
Yeah.
easily and so smoothly that it was really nice. But in those wide
Yeah.
shots, I thought the CGI looked kind of muddy for 2019, but it helped because it
It
almost made
made it
me
look
feel more of
uncanny.
like yeah, like you're, in the center of an unending maze kind of thing. Like you
Mhm.
don't know where it goes, where it ends.
Yeah.
It just kind of goes fuzzy. And I think that really added to it. I don't know if it was intentional or not,
Yeah.
but let's say it was.
One of the, I think, best shots they have in this, and they do this quite a lot, is when they show the setting sun, they do a center shot on it, and then they immediately have it transitioned with a fade in on our characters and where they are, and it almost makes it look like there's a spotlight on them when it does that.
Mhm.
And I always thought that looked beautiful. Um, I liked a lot of I don't know, the shots when they go into the neighborhood are really nice. They do a POV shot from the couple's car on the other
Mhm.
car. I thought that looked nice. I'm just a sucker for POV shots. The shots I did not like are the close-ups. They do close-ups of the characters' faces, and one when they're like eating food. It was horrible.
I thought the close-ups were really mostly when they were like zooming in on their eyes and stuff. Like, there's a
Mm,
point later in the movie where they're going pretty insane.
yeah, yeah,
Tom is in the front. He's like a landscaper, so he had gardening equipment in the car.
yeah.
Um, and so he's just digging this hole because there's like he has nothing else to do, and this is his one task, and he thinks he hears something at the bottom. So like every
Hmm.
day, all day, he's digging, going, laying back down, going to bed, not talking to Gemma, anything like that.
Yeah.
Um, and through this whole movie, you can really see like the de-evolution of their relationship and just their decline. Like first he's talking less, then he's like eating a lot faster, then he's outside all day, and then like they're not having sex, and then they're not like brushing their teeth together in the morning. You know, all
Hmm.
shit like that where you can just really easily like pinpoint and watch the marriage and the relate not marriage, but relationship go on a slow decline. And then I
Hmm.
think you also can see the kind of almost the insanity ticking in their head with Tom just constantly digging every day, and that's just like his thing. It's all he has. And then she is just kind of giving into the idea of being a mother almost a lot of the time. And then
Yeah.
something will happen that'll freak her out or overwhelm her, that'll snap her back, and then she will say, "I'm not your mother." Um, but I think I think they could have done more with the kid. It was really eerie,
Hmm.
and it was very odd, and you didn't quite know what was gonna happen or what he was. But after I saw that whole thing at the end where she went under the sidewalk and there's, like, all different
I
homes,
freaked
you see the
out.
rest of it. It was sick, but I wanted more of that.
I
Like,
just this.
if the last 45 minutes not 4 if the last 30 minutes were all like
Hmm.
that, I would have really enjoyed it, and I think it would have
Yeah.
strengthened the movie a lot more.
I mean, what this movie really is lacking is an explanation. And
Yeah.
obviously, not everything needs to be spelled out for an audience, but
Mhm.
like this truly is nothing is like planned out. If I asked the writer, hey, so like, what do you think this really means? What do you think is happening here? I don't think it's going to be a thing where they go, well, I sort of left it up to the audience, but I have my own version. It's going to be, oh, it's just all the weird shit I wanted to put in.
Yeah, that's really and, like, in interviews with the director, he was saying the movie is kind of just about, like, your 3 stages of life. Like,
Mm,
the beginning when you're young, and then, like, whatever, the middle part, and then the older like, the last part was, like, regret, um, is what
sure.
he was saying, which, like, okay. Um,
That's
I
okay,
guess,
sure.
yeah, whatever.
Um,
But, like, I don't know, this movie was I feel like pacing. The pacing was good for them
mm,
staying in the exact same place for an hour and a half. I think the pacing was great.
I think they really should have shown more. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, the time jump went from day 2 to day 98, where at
Yeah.
first we see this baby that's been left on the doorstep, and then we see that it's like around a 10-year-old child. Obviously, it's supposed to grow at an inhuman rate,
Yeah,
but I
he like, at
think
the beginning, he says, like, "I'm growing every day because he's like, measure me."
yeah, yeah.
And so I guess that's our explanation, but it's like one throwaway line. Like,
That
that's all we get.
explanation, it works for me. My biggest problem isn't that he's like that. I feel like it's
Mhm.
fine to explain that. I feel like you can't show us the baby and then show it 98 days later. I want to see the conflict that comes from, hey, here's a baby that we now have to deal with. What are we going to do? We
Yeah,
could
I
have
mean,
played a
I
lot
guess
more
yeah.
we could have played a lot more into finding out that it's like not human in some sense from when it was a baby when it's harder to tell. We could have seen their reactions and how they like sort of find themselves conflicted about it, because you could have the mother go into the you can have Belly,
What?
Gemi, what's her name?
Gemma?
Gemma. Okay, we could have Gemma automatically assume a motherly role where we have Tom going, well, I don't really trust this thing. What is this? We can establish that connection. Instead, we cut to day 98, and I think it's weird.
I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, but we do end up doing that anyway, just like a little bit later in when Tom like starts to freak, and then like first he just hits the kid, like slams him on the ground, then he like
He was good for
smashes the
doing
bowl
that.
against the wall, and then he locks him in the car.
Yeah. All of those
Um,
were good choices by him.
yeah, really good. And then at the end of the movie, she regrets. She's like, "Why didn't I let you kill him when he was a boy?" Um, which is it was funny, but this whole movie, like, the time shift, or I didn't have much of a problem with the baby to, like, small kid. I more had a problem from, like, small kid to adult man. Like, at the hour mark,
Mhm.
it's just majority of this movie, you're with the kid as,
Yeah.
like, a 10-year-old boy, and he's just an annoying little shit, he's repeating stuff, he's going places, and then he shows this weird neck growth thing to his mom, and she freaks out.
Yeah, frog mode.
Um,
I thought
yeah,
that
he goes
was
frog
really
mode.
funny.
Frog mode was pretty funny, but the first time I watched that movie, it was such a good, like, little little teaser for the end of the movie, like, "No, keep
Mm.
watching, there's cool shit
Yeah.
going on."
I think
Um,
that would be cool if it ever had a payoff.
yeah,
I'd love it if
I
it had a
mean, a
payoff.
lot about horror movies is just what you can't see because it I mean, to a
Mhm.
degree, what you explain and then what you're showing people, then it just becomes your mind can put it in a realistic spot, and you're like, "Oh, well, I would just, like, leave and call somebody," or, that kinda shit, so you're not scared of it anymore.
Yeah, that's
And
fair.
so I think what they do withhold from the audience is really strong, and it's really important because if they gave too
Mhm.
much, it would just be a really generic, "Okay, they're stuck in this place with this weird monster."
Yeah, I
Like,
think there are
I mean, they
some.
hmm?
Wait, you can go ahead.
I think when like, at the end again, when she goes under the sidewalk and into that whole world, like, just kind of melding of all the different houses, and she sees the other
Yeah.
couples there, like, the
Mhm.
mother, like, begging and, like, praying and the other people having sex and the kid clapping, that was so fucking funny. Um, Holy shit. But, she's, like, falling through, like, the floor, and then she, like, stops, and there's this one she sees another house where it's another couple, and they're having sex, and their kid is at the door just, "Yay!" like,
Yeah,
clapping for them.
just
It
establishing the surveillance of them.
Yeah, and so I think that really helped make it feel more of a, like, this isn't a one kind of event thing, this is going on everywhere.
Yeah.
I like to
This is
think
a
that, like, all of those
system.
houses, it's going on, they just can't, like, access each other, like, whatever pocket dimension kinda shit.
Yeah.
Um,
The colors they
but
use to emphasize that really help.
I don't know what the fuck the color was. That was stupid.
Well, I just think they have a different color hue to sort of show what, like, different world they're in, what, like, phase they're in
Oh, just
of the
very
same area.
very obviously, like, this is a different house than that woman that was praying, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Yeah. Um but just I think just what we're saying, this movie, if it gave a little bit more, like
Mhm.
15-20 minutes max more, then
Yeah.
I really think it could have been a lot better because obviously we can hurt the kid, because she hits it with the pickaxe at the end and he starts bleeding and he runs away. He's like, yeah, um, yeah, and then, I don't know, I just think they really could have done more and there should have been more of
Mhm.
a conflict, but the idea
Oh,
to
yeah, you're
just
right.
leave it as I think the filmmaker and the writers made a conscious choice to make the antagonist of the movie not necessarily the child, but the neighborhood.
Yes, I think that worked really well.
Yeah, I think that was a good choice.
Yeah, I think if they were to explain it more, they could have gone with a situation similar to Us, and I love that movie, and it does a bit of explaining as to the situation. It doesn't
Mhm.
go into super, specifics, but, like, even when they reveal what's happening when you see all these doppelgangers, the explanation they give is horrifying. Like, it's a horrifying concept to think about.
Yeah, it's
Even
like and you don't have any time to, like, kinda revel in it. It's just like, "That's it. That's what's going on."
Yeah,
Like, yep.
like, that would have been fine, especially
Mhm.
since, like, we hear of this, like, creature that the boy's traveling to all the time.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's
a
cool.
and when he mimics him, he does the thing where his throat turns into sort of like a frog's throat,
Yeah,
and it's really interesting, and all I'm thinking of, how scary is that thing? How cool would it have been if we saw
yeah.
that? But
All I
also,
Yeah.
I'm imagining this didn't have a huge budget.
Mm.
Jesse Eisenberg is probably most of the budget.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, probably.
Budget, oh my
Um,
gosh,
what?
$4.3 million.
Wow. That's
Wow,
cheap. That's really good.
that's really good.
A lot of that
Okay,
is totally Jesse Eisenberg.
keeping that in mind, keeping budget in mind, a lot of my complaints are gonna fall a little lower, but
Okay.
that's cool. I mean, obviously, you have to think about what production is allowing a director to do.
Mhm. They
Uh,
definitely did utilize green screen and just the idea that they can use the exact same set over and over again to their
yeah,
advantage.
that is very true. This had to have been pretty lax on location. Obviously, Jesse Eisenberg is the only big stars. I don't think
Mhm.
Gemma was a big actress before or after this.
She
I
should
just don't
be.
recognize her. She
She was
should be.
pretty good.
This was made in Europe with euros though, and
Yeah, it was a
Belgium
a
movie.
Belgian director.
That's why it had like 20,000 companies attached at the front, because it's from Belgium and there's no money in Belgium. So they
There's
had to
no
get
money
every
in
government
Belgium.
agency possible to fund this thing.
You hear it here first on WAM. Belgium has $0. They are broke. You could send an Amazon gift card or Visa to Belgium. They would greatly appreciate it.
If anyone from Belgium wants to prove us wrong, please send Wham $1,000 to prove you're not broke.
Yeah.
Show us
Do
the
it.
money spread.
Oh, you can't listen to the podcast? Yo, you don't have electricity? Oh, no, no. Yeah, that's what I thought. Belgium person. Belginian.
Oh
Belgique.
yeah. What is a Belgian person called?
Belgique. What?
Belgique, yeah. A Belgian a Belgian national? Are we giving up? Are we
A Belgian national? That sucks. I'd rather
That's
be a
the
Belginian.
worst.
I'd rather be a
Belgique?
Balchinian.
Belgies?
The Belgies sounds like a Bee Gees cover band. The Belgies.
Speaking of bells, did you notice that's the entirety of the soundtrack? It's just
Mm,
bells.
yeah, I think good job getting back to the movie. Uh, I think the idea to use almost no music and the sound design in this was really important because they
Mhm.
do kind of harp on this a few times where it is dead silent the
Mhm.
entire film. Even
Yeah.
when she's outside and Gemma's running to running over to Todd's body or whatever, Tom's body.
Mhm.
All you hear are her heels on the concrete and then the grass, and that is it. There's no wind, there's no like clothes noise, there's
Mhm.
like you have the bare minimum of what it is, and it just really adds to that deafening kind of silence and emptiness,
Yeah.
like alone in a crowd kind of feeling that they have at an extreme here.
I think that is a good point. I didn't think the soundtrack was bad for what it had. It was
Mm,
really uneary bells and
yeah.
small noises like that played a lot into it. Um, and there's obviously some very masterful orchestra and soundtracks for horror.
Hmm.
But if we're going to be talking about isolation, if we're not going to be talking about big pieces of action, but more just the underlying threat of horror,
Hmm.
this is going to be better. Silence.
Yeah, I think it definitely because it lets your mind race and kind of think like what's going on, what's going to happen, and you're a little tense, and I think it really adds to a lot of it.
Yeah.
This movie, one thing I really liked was when Tom is digging throughout this whole movie, like we said, and when he gets to the bottom and he's hearing something, he
Mm-hmm.
finally hits something, and then he clears it off, and it turns out to be a body bag. And so then that proposed a different question to me of does every house have a parent who wants to dig? Like, does that happen? Do they all end up digging holes? Is this just a thing that's like always goes on? And
Nick,
then
you
I
forgot
mean,
the
what?
number one rule in men.
What's that?
We love digging holes.
We do. Did
We
you see that video of
love
the
digging
guy who
holes.
like dug a little peninsula on that beach and it caused like a horrible like wave?
No?
Dude, yeah. So
What?
this guy was on a beach and there was this like little baby peninsula and he just started digging to like connect it, like the little thing. And it was like a little small pocket. And like
Okay.
slowly water started going and other guys started joining in. And then it became this fucking like tidal whitewater river that fucking just went between these two little bays. And it was like it couldn't have been more than like 15 yards long. But it was
Uh,
just so
uh,
violent. It was scary.
they made a slide.
No, they made a debt. No, and if you went in there, you would be rolled and gone. You'd be sent like away into the Atlantic. Um, God, but yeah. So this movie, that body bag reveal was really good, and I really enjoyed it. It made it really tense and just kind of hike
Yeah.
up the stakes immediately.
I didn't realize it
And
was a body bag until I found the first body bag, I think.
we found the first.
Like when during the ending we see more body bag for multiple
Yeah.
characters. I didn't realize that was a body bag until I saw just a full one unearthed,
Yeah,
just outside
being
of soil.
underground, like you couldn't really see much. You couldn't really see a face in it, so that kind of makes sense. But I think then at the end when Tom eventually dies, um and like he's in Jenna's arms, and he's like, like whatever. When I was with you, I felt like home. So right now, I feel like I'm home. And then he dies. It
Mm, I
that whole line and that interaction is kind of cheesy, but I think it really helps like hammer home the idea to the audience, and like you can experience with Gemma the feeling of like,
mhm.
oh fuck, I'm alone now. Like that's it. There is no one else here
Yeah.
but me. And then just him coming with the body bag, and her just completely broken and crawling after the body as he's dragging him away.
Mhm.
Just really hammers all that home for the audience to really like feel what she's feeling, because there's nothing going on in that scene besides him dragging a body and her just crawling after and sobbing.
Mhm. I love that speech he gave. I thought that's, like, the most connection we've seen from the characters until then. Obviously, Jesse is a good actor, but I think this is one of his better roles because you never see him cry, usually. You don't see
Yeah.
him at low points unless he's pissed off.
Yeah.
Um,
He doesn't do like strong emotions like that.
but God, he was so good during that. She was really good during it. The cinematography was pretty standard, but it was great at showing emotion. I don't know, I just love that part. I found myself, like, I'm I'm a big boy, so I don't cry, but, like, I did, like, the big boy equivalent where I sort of felt a little sad.
For sad at what scene?
When he's, like, saying his speech before he dies.
Oh, the Jesse?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cheesy, but it works for the movie
What scene were you
because
thinking I
it's
was
who his
talking
character is.
about?
Well, I was confused. I was like, I thought you were talking about the kid, and I'm like, dude, what speech are you talking about?
Well,
Like,
he does have the kid does have a speech right before Gemma dies
I
where,
kind of.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was dumb, and I thought that was a dumb conclusion.
Yeah, I think it was just supposed to be like a "this is meaningless, you're nothing but a cog in the machine" kind of feel.
Yeah, I
And
get
then,
that.
the kid walking into the office and that guy like, "Oh," and giving him his Martin badge was really funny to me.
Oh, well,
"You are
the part
Martin now."
the
And
part
then,
that's really funny is the role. I
oh my
love the
god, yeah.
role
That's my
'cause
favorite part of this entire movie is he gets the old salesman, he wraps him up in a body bag, and then he rolls him up like a fucking sleeping bag and puts him in a filing cabinet and then just sits down quietly. It's
I
so
think
eerie, and just like the pure sheer strength that he has that we've never seen at any point in the
well, no, no,
movie
no, 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 we
just on
saw him
display there is insane.
I mean, we saw him pick up a sidewalk.
Okay, it
That
was a
was pretty
bendy
cool.
concrete sidewalk that went into a void world, Nolan, and he has frog throat.
That's
Okay,
where we get into the real Dr. Seuss stuff.
are we you're not questioning that, but you're gonna question that he's strong? He's a growing boy.
He's a growing boy.
What do you think he did all day when he left? He lifted sidewalks all day. He used the
I think
P90X.
the first time you watched this movie with Miranda, you sent me the clip of that ending and you were like, "Bro, what is this?"
Yeah, 'cause it was so cool, just the crunching, like, the body noises and bones breaking.
It
It
wasn't
was
even that
so
loud.
unexpected. No,
It was really quiet bone breaking, which I loved
it was
because
just
that's
out of
not even the
nowhere.
focus of it. The
No,
gore
it was just
aspect isn't
eerie.
highlighted. It's just an afterthought.
It's so good. This movie, I think, for what it lacked in, I'll say story and payoff, I think it
Mhm.
really made up for in atmosphere, and feel and tension. I think it did really well. So
I can
I
yeah, I
don't,
can get
yeah,
behind
I
that.
mean, while I don't think this is the best movie ever, I think this is a fantastic horror movie.
Uh, I don't even know how I would phrase it in my own way. I can get it being a good horror movie. I think it's a great liminal movie. Like, if we're talking about low stakes horror, if we're talking about, away from jump scares, we're talking just, like, a new inventive indie kinda thing, especially because this was a time when there was a lot of experimental horror. I think this is probably one of the best ones that came out of it. Uh, but besides that, there's still a lot that holds it back that I think is more production, than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, being made on under $5 million is insanely impressive for a
It's
movie this for it looked like a blockbuster movie, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
And
this is
yeah,
very impressive for what they were able to do, and I hope the director gets a lot better resources on his next film because God, that's
yeah.
really impressive what he was able to do.
Does the budget account for, like, advertising too?
No, this wasn't. I only looked at the production budget. Advertising budget is usually held back. Most people say it's usually a third of the production budget.
Damn, okay. But it's, like, separate, it's just kind of a third of it is how to gauge it, you're saying?
Yeah, that's how most people gauge it. Third to a
Okay.
half.
'Cause I was gonna say, like, honestly, I never remembered seeing trailers for this, did you? It was
No,
2019, so we would've seen it.
I think, I mean, this is obviously a Belgian film that ended up getting, I don't know if it got a worldwide release. It might have just gotten a United States release and then a European release. This, I think this came. I remember seeing that people were watching it in theaters and it got some decent reviews. I think it was a low time in sales. I think it did good because of that, just because there wasn't a lot of competition, especially since I think right up to this is around Endgame time, we saw people start to get that big blockbuster fatigue, and people were still going to theaters around there. If there wasn't COVID, I'd imagine that there'd be a lot more experimental stuff happening and getting big because A24 was big on the scene, stuff like that. I think this
Mhm.
really just hit because of that, even with limited marketing.
Yeah, even with that limited marketing, like, I mean, I really never remember seeing anything about it. I mean,
Hmm.
besides that cover picture with the house that's kinda tilting on the corner.
Oh yeah, I saw that a bunch.
Yeah, that's the only thing I remember, though, but I never remember actually seeing, like, an ad for it anywhere. But,
Yeah.
I mean,
It had a very good word of mouth just because when you, like, describe this to a friend, it immediately sticks out.
oh, yeah,
Like,
for
if
sure.
you say, like, it's a show, it's a movie about these guys that get stuck in a never-ending neighborhood. Interesting. I mean, that's interesting. Interesting
Yeah.
concept immediately.
Yeah, it's a really good idea, and I honestly I wouldn't be mad at all if they ever did a sequel or, like, a spiritual successor almost.
Mhm. If
Um,
we did another thing similar to this with him, I'd watch it.
yeah, I would 100%, or even if it was I'm not saying, like, Vivarium 2, but, like, same idea, same concept, they're in the neighborhood, but we just explore it more and we kind of just remix the idea. I think it could be really interesting, and I don't necessarily wanna rip off the movie, but I just wanna explore those places that it kinda left unanswered a little more.
Yeah.
I mean, do you really have anything else you wanna say about the movie, or are we kinda set?
Let me check my notes real quick. Oh yeah. I think Jesse immediately trying to burn down the house once he's like ran out of ideas was genius.
Yeah, burning the house, I don't kinda sad that didn't work.
I the
It did?
idea that he'd like make a smoke signal,
Yeah.
genuinely a smart idea. And then also it's just really funny that Gemma is just like really confused and tired. And without discussing it, Tom just goes, I should burn down the house.
Yeah,
Like
it's
his
just the
first thought.
yeah, it's the immediate it just well, I'm sending a smoke signal. Um, there's so many points in this movie where Tom does break, like, snap at Gemma,
Yeah.
um, which again, I there was never a point where I was like, "Whoa, too far, man." It was all very I would've killed that kid too, man.
Yeah, everything he did was very
That
understandable.
thing
Everything Gemma did was very understandable. These are
Mhm.
characters you can relate to. Very well written characters, which is, there's only two of them.
Yeah. I think that the like, with Tom just going so stark against the kid and with Gemma kind of falling back into, like, motherly instincts is really interesting because
Yeah.
she is still and later on, she's terrified of the child, like, she's being polite and everything, and they have a little conversation about it where he's like, "You don't really mean you're welcome," when she gives him food, um, and she's like, "I'm just being
Mhm.
polite." And he's like, "Why are you being polite? Is it fear?" And she says, "Probably." And then he kinda smiles, and she walks away up to a bedroom that they've barricaded with a chair so that they can sit alone in the bedroom.
Mhm.
And with all the time jumps and stuff, I mean, how long realistically do you think they were there? Because they don't have any visual
Yeah.
age or anything like that that we see, at least. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna say, like, I I don't know. I'm gonna say like maybe a month, 2 months. I don't know.
Okay, wait, Nick. So we see them hit day 98. So how many days are in a month?
Was there a day 98 splash screen?
There was day 98 was put onto the kid's height.
Oh, I didn't pay
Yeah.
attention to that at all.
No, I get that. It was day 98. That's why I was so angry, because it literally passed 3 months, which is probably the most like interesting part.
Yeah, I didn't catch that at all. I really wish they pointed out to me like a dummy more.
Mm-hmm. Day 98, when we first see the kid, is around like 7 years of age, and then we
Yeah.
see him grow into a full adult. If we're keeping that time scale, I wouldn't be surprised if it like takes place within a year, maybe a little bit longer than a year.
Yeah, I mean, with them this whole time through the movie, I was constantly thinking like they have access to silverware and knives and such,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know how they wouldn't realistically go insane and kill themselves at this point
Others
from
did.
being trapped in that one spot. What makes you say
Yeah.
that?
Well, remember when we were going through
The
the
other
other
houses?
residences, when
Yeah.
we go under the thing, we see somebody who's inside of a bathtub who had cut themselves and are bleeding out, and it's full of blood. So that's somebody who has a similar experience to them, who did kill themselves.
Oh, did
It's
I miss
probably
that completely? I thought it was just the woman like begging and praying and then the people having sex
That's part of it. There's also just one dude who was in a bathtub who
who was dead.
slit his
Yeah.
I think stomach, wrists, whatever, and
Yeah.
the bathtub was just full of blood.
He became dead.
I have become dead.
I have
Dis-
become dead, destroyer of breed.
Destroyer of Vivarium.
um Really, the only thing I don't really love is the name. It's not
Yeah, why is it called that?
it's not a vivarium.
What is a
They're not.
vivarium?
If anything, we're drawing parallels to a cuckoo bird in nature. So why is it a vivarium? Why isn't it like the nest or some shit, you know?
That's true. There's probably a better name they could have given, but that's obviously a name that I guess drew audiences.
I mean, it worked. We're
Yeah,
reviewing it.
yeah, and it's hard to get here.
Yeah,
If it was
I mean,
named
we're
anything
really
else,
top
we wouldn't
quality
have touched
podcast.
it.
Yeah, I mean, we did Batman and Robin before.
Yeah, and we had to do that because like Anne Robin,
Yeah, come
iconic.
on, God, you can't. Our stockholders couldn't let that one go. But overall, that's really all I got to say about the movie. Do you have anything else you want to have?
Narp. I think that's all.
Well, I am going to give this movie a 3.5.
I gave it, when I first watched it, I did the thing again. I'm relapsing. I gave it a 3 on Letterboxd.
You bitch.
Talking with you more, understanding a better another lens through it, and especially looking at the production budget. And that's probably me being biased because I understand what it means to like have restriction.
Yeah, knowing how little the budget was is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think with that in mind, I'll probably give it a 3.5 too, just because. I mean, yeah, there are parts that really should be fixed just to keep it more engaging and to bring it to its full potential. But it's not a bad time besides that. And I think Sydney's going to be really pissed because she hates this movie.
Really? She hates it?
She hates it.
Oh
Uh,
no. Has she voiced why she hates it?
I think she just thinks the kid was stupid.
That's kind of fair. He should have done more. But I mean, that wraps up for our movie segment here. What do you have
Yeah.
for news besides the lead singer of Smash Mouth died? I don't know his name.
Was it Steve Haltaway?
Maybe that sounds like a name.
It was Steve Harwell.
It's Harwell.
Yeah,
But one thing I felt,
he died of liver problems because he had been an alcoholic for a good amount of years.
a long time after Shrek. But one thing he always said is that he hated the song All Star and like Shrek and everything in it. And all of the media and all the news outlets and stories were lead singer of Smash Mouth, the writers of All Star, man who like lead singer in All Star music video dies. Like, you know how pissed I would be like from the grave seeing people all talking about that? Like, God, that must suck.
I mean, it's really bad. I mean, there's obviously a lot of good songs that they've released, and I listen to them every
Yeah.
once in a while. I don't want to say this, but I need to say it. Smash Mouth has some great instrumentals. It has some really good lyrics.
You can
His
say Smash Mouth is
voice,
good.
but his voice made it bad.
His voice, I think, was so perfect for it, though. I don't think you could make that music without his voice. It
Well,
was like it's so
yeah.
iconic with it.
I think there are songs in which it really matches. I'm a Believer, I think, is
Yeah.
perfectly fit for his voice, much more than the Monkees, which
Yeah,
originally
I
wrote
mean,
the
like,
song.
God, what they have, like, tails and shit? They can't even hold instruments?
Yeah. But there's other
Trees?
songs like Satellite off his album Astro Lounge,
Mhm.
which is a really good sort of low-key bossa nova beat, and I really loved it. And his voice is like the worst in it, and I hate his voice in it. But that's just because it's not his genre.
Yeah, it's just not his jam. Like, when Snoop Dogg, became Snoop Lion and did 2 reggae albums, and everyone hated them, and then he went back to being Snoop Dogg.
Look, Snoop Dogg is never one thing, okay? He's a cook, he's a convict, he's a pastor, he's everything.
He's everything you could need. Over in yeah, but that would suck if, like, you were remembered as the one thing you hated the most, and then
Mhm.
but, just overall, I do think they genuinely were a good band. Like,
Yeah.
they really weren't bad, they weren't gonna be the next Beatles like they said, but they did have, like, the really good, early 2000s vibe and sound to them, a lot
Yeah.
like Bowling for Soup.
They could have been
Um,
like the Sex Pistols of their time if they tried a little harder.
they just I think it's because they went so hard against Shrek and being so pissed,
Mm.
that it totally hurt them because everyone, of course, was asking for those songs, and understandably, as an
Yeah, yeah,
artist, playing
yeah.
the same shit all the time is gonna make you a little upset and, like, feel stale.
I get
But
that.
what do you want? It's the audience liked the thing you made. Like, I don't
I think they also got really commercialized. I mean, there you can either keep going commercial and you can accept it and you can fill that role and not like be very angry at it like they were with Smash Mouth, or you can just don't go commercial, you stick in your lane and you try to be doing like authentic music. But when you were in the Cat in the Hat movie playing a cover of a Beatles song and you're just
Yeah,
it just seems as if you're setting the bar low as to what you are.
I think your artistic priorities are a little different if you, put yourself in all of the children's movies. I think you are gonna be put in a certain light.
That's
Um,
fair. Yeah, yeah. I mean, a
but
paycheck's a paycheck, but
Yeah, and let's be he was getting paychecks for All-Star. Bittersweet check every month coming in the mail, but
just like you just see him sort of like dealing with like his liver failure and he's
mhm.
like oh, I don't think we're going to be able to afford this, and then he just gets the letter. It's like, hey, our residuals came in, and he's like, get it away from me, I don't want your dirty money.
God, I don't think we're gonna be able to afford this, and, like, his niece, like, takes out her phone and plays All-Star for, like, 60 seconds, and then, like, someone runs in with a check.
I'll just keep doing that forever, I
Yeah,
think.
okay, don't worry, we'll get it, but yeah, so he died, which is sad as much as we're joking about it. He was a pretty good artist, and it's sad to see him
Yeah.
die at such a young age.
Mhm.
Additionally, Jimmy Buffett also died. He
Yeah,
was also pretty young. I
he was
think he
in
was,
his
like, in his
70s.
70s? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he
think it
could
was
have
from
lived
skin
a little
cancer.
longer.
People said it was
Mm,
from skin cancer, and I can totally see that being out performing and just, like, being on a boat and just, like, being Jimmy Buffett and living
yeah.
every day like a song, man.
Mhm.
But I could totally see that.
Mm.
But what's gonna happen to Margaritaville? I'm worried.
Margaritaville's I mean, it maybe we'll see it's probably seeing a resurgence in sales right now. I mean, they are already sort of going under, they've been for a while. I
I'll
think
say that.
there's no matter what happens, I think there's gonna be one in the United States until the United States, like, falls apart. I think that's, like, a staple of, like,
Yeah,
American living.
and if anything, we can always just fall back on that, one lyric in one of his songs where he says he's a little drunk and horny and, his friend needs to take his 15-year-old girlfriend home.
I
Really, it
found
was
that.
inspirational
God.
stuff. Yeah, didn't you see that?
Jesus. Yeah, I
Yeah, it's a
did.
real song, it's a real lyric. I don't care
He
what song
didn't
it was.
yeah, he didn't well, the song is called "Please Take Your 15-Year-Old
Oh,
Drunken Girlfriend Home."
well, that is the okay. Well, I figured it out. I've deduced it.
It was unreleased, but he played it at a few shows, and there's a recording of it, and people have done the lyrics, and everybody's like, Hey, Jimmy, there's a reason we didn't put it on the album.
Hey, Jimmy, buddy, why do you think we left it? Come on now. No more Margaritaville showings.
No more
Um,
Margaritaville.
yeah, so Jimmy Buffett, Smash Mouth Man died.
Yeah.
What
Oh,
other news do you have?
one other person died recently.
Who?
One of the former generals of the United Nations died on the same
Oh,
day as Jimmy Buffett, and nobody cared.
what? What?
Nobody
I feel like that's
cared.
bigger news.
Well, no, because like it wasn't like the one at the head. It was like an old retired guy. He was also, I think, a governor in some state in the United States before he was in the United Nations. But like nobody cares. Jimmy Buffett died.
Dude, I saw some TikTok today where it was some like political rabbit hole that I ended up scrolling through, and this guy was like drawing parallels between The Simpsons, Mr. Burns eating a three-eyed fish, and like a Chinese like whatever UN guy eating fish from contaminated waters.
Oh, I love
And
it
then
when
he's like, and
politicians
China
do
has
that.
3 hurricanes right now? Coincidence?
It's a
Dude, he
big
was off
country.
the rails.
But that's like my favorite part of like politicians BSing. It's when they like are given muck water that's in their like that they're taking charge of or whatever, and they're
Mhm.
like, "You see this muck water? I'm gonna drink it." Yummy. You should all drink it too.
Yeah, I remember that video where like the guy brought the glass of water into like the Senate and
Oh
he's like, "This is
yeah.
from my tap." And it was like dark brown water. And
Mm.
he was like, "Do you want to take a sip?" Um and they were just all real quiet, just like, "No, no, no. I would
Well,
not like to take a sip."
do you remember in East Palestine, Ohio, when that train fell over and all the chemicals went in the water?
Yeah.
One of the constituents there ended
Mhm.
up drinking the water, and you could just sort of tell he did not like it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either with all those toxic dude, so much stuff was happening after that. Like, didn't a train fall?
A lot of
Yeah,
trains
there was
derailed.
like yeah, it was bad. It was
To
really
be
bad.
fair, that's sort of just like a confirmation bias kind of thing where there's probably a lot of derailment in the United States at a time. Just the second there's a huge story about chemicals falling into water, then we're looking for the next one so we can get another story. To be
That's
fair, though,
true, but also,
our
man, what a
infrastructure
bad week.
sucks. Yeah. It was specifically because we deregulated some of the safety protocols we had on train systems because we thought it was costing too much money and it just wasn't going to happen regularly enough to be worth it. And now that's the cause of it.
We should just put up those bumper rails that you get at the bowling alley. We should have those on, like, car lanes. That would stop all not all accidents. Actually, that would probably cause more accidents. Never mind.
I mean, we have
You
those in
can't swerve
HOV
anymore.
lanes.
You do, that's true. The other day, I got trapped in one.
You got trapped in an HOV lane?
It felt like Vivarium. Because I was going and then I was gonna turn over and then the great wall of thin plastic strips blocked my way and there was no choice anymore.
Yeah, I get that.
It's not my fault. I had to run over a kid right after. He was in my way. That preschool just came out of nowhere. Like that Tesla. Oh my god, you remember that Tesla that ran through that preschool?
That's not
This was
real.
It was a few
What?
years ago. It was when the self-driving stuff was first
Oh
coming
my
out.
god.
This Tesla rammed through a preschool.
Is that
Like, not
just
even a
like
little
that?
bit, like, through the wall.
Is it like that meme clip where you see that car tumble onto like kids at a picnic?
No, but similar energy. It's insane. Look it up after,
Well, I
but,
shouldn't be laughing about that. That's horrible.
no, but it's insane. It was actually fucking it was crazy, but,
Damn.
I mean, do you have anything else? Any other recommendations or anything like that you wanna say before we head out?
Recommendations? I'm not sure. I'm gonna go see. I think it's called Dumb Money soon. It's that one
Ooh.
movie about the GameStop stock situation because they
Oh, how
make
it,
a
like,
movie about.
skyrocketed and then dumped?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? Are you gonna go see the Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie coming out in October?
I actually had, early seating for it, so I've already seen the film.
And how was it?
Well, I don't wanna, spoil anything here, but, let me just say, someone that rhymes with, Haler Biffed is in it.
You know
So
that movie has pre-order tickets at the same level as Avengers Endgame, right?
dude, that's so horrible.
It's
What? For a
projected to
documentary?
make For a documentary, no, it's not a documentary. It's literally just they recorded one of her concerts.
No shot, really?
Yes.
Dude, that's fucked up. That's
They're
like a problem.
that is a problem. It's going to make $100 million, probably more than that, first day domestically in the United States alone.
Dude, we better not. Actually, I don't know. I kind of want to see more documentaries. I wouldn't be mad at that.
There's,
Like when Blue Planet was in theaters. Do you remember that?
I don't remember what Blue Planet was. Was that
It
just
was
the
it was
Disney
that
one?
Nat Geo. No, it was the Nat
Mm.
Geo documentary just about the ocean.
Ooh, that
It
sounds
was
cool.
and then they made Blue Planet 2 or whatever. But with David Attenborough, the like, the nature like talkover guy.
Nice.
Um but it was really cool. It was like a field trip, I remember. And we went and we
Hmm,
watched that in the theaters. It was so
that's
sick.
cool. Yeah.
I know. But yeah.
Uh, they're also doing some documentary about Taylor Swift and how she's re-releasing her music. Um,
She's oh yeah, cuz didn't she like not get the own the licensing kind of and
she doesn't own the masters. She didn't do the production for her stuff. She doesn't own the rights to it. So what she's doing now is for her old releases, she's re-releasing them, redoing some stuff, so that when it comes out, she has full capacity over that. She makes sure that she gets her money from it. And I think it's pretty fair. I'm not the biggest fan of her music, but I don't. There's usually nothing that she does that's horrible that I think she's a bad person for, except being like the number one carbon emitter in the world.
I've never is that true?
She out of every celebrity like that people have done statistics on, she pollutes the most. Like she flies around in private jets like it's no one's business.
I mean, girl power, I guess, man. Whatever. That's funny.
That's what they're powering it with.
Yeah, they're powered by jet fuel. It's not actually from her jet. Taylor Swift herself actually just has an incredible amount of methane gas that she produces into the air. It's horrible. That's why all of her concert venues have to be outside. They're all open air.
So that people don't die of poisoning.
Yeah, if they're in an enclosed space, it's minutes. They don't have time.
What else? I guess there's only really one thing that matters. I have some other stuff, but we have some numbers on how much money specifically Warner Brothers has lost during the writer and actor strikes.
Ooh, how much?
Um, uh,
18 mil.
a little more.
21.
No, more.
25.
500 million.
Damn!
Mm-hmm.
That's good, though. That means they'll be like, oh, guys, what about our paycheck? How do we get our bonus this year?
What I'm feeling is Warner Brothers Discovery is probably not one of the big holdouts. Well, no, I don't. I might not say that. David Zaslav has been targeted for being one of the big holdouts in executives with negotiations. But I feel as if we have bigger bigger obstacles than Warner Brothers, because Warner Brothers has been making like consistently no money. They've had a
Really?
lot of flops recently. Dude, Blue Beetle just crossed 100 million. It hasn't even made its budget back
Oh,
yet.
that was Warner Brothers. You're right.
Yeah.
Damn.
DC has been making just a lot of flops. But obviously the Barbie movie just passed 1 billion, so that's going to help them out a
Yeah.
lot. More than
Yeah.
anything, though, it's very apparent that Warner Brothers can't be thinking about investments. They need money now. They might be getting more money overall if they just hold this out and then are able to pay their writers and actors less. But they need to get back in production now, so I'm sure they're really trying to figure out a deal. It's companies like Disney that has sort of an unlimited stock in this stuff that is going to be able to stay on without a deal for a long time.
Yeah, I think honestly, even right now, overall, like in general, not even the film industry specifically, I've just been seeing a lot of strikes recently.
Oh yeah, there's
Um,
some big hotel strikes going on. A UPS
yeah,
strike almost happened.
UPS strike did happen.
Oh, they got their
That's when,
deal, I think.
yeah. So now they're paid like some crazy like $140,000 a year or something like
They're
that.
they're being
They're well paid now.
they're being spent, I think, 145,000 a year when you look at the benefits they're getting and the new infrastructure they're putting into their trucks, like AC, for
Yeah,
them.
but they also are just getting better pay.
They're getting, I think, 80K a year now.
Yeah, something like that. But either way, they're
Pretty
making
good.
substantially much better.
Yeah, it's really good for
And
them.
then like I know, I think American or Delta or so. I think it was American is on
Mhm.
strike at the DFW International Airport.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
airport
yeah,
people or just airplanes and anything like that, they union or
yeah.
they strike at, like, a moment's notice. It
What
happens
happened
all
there
the
is
time.
that pilots' pay got increased or something like that, and so they wanted their pay increased.
Okay.
The stewards and stewardesses.
Okay. I know there
Um,
was a I think there was a pilot strike recently just because they had upped the amount of flight hours you need
like
before
required.
you yeah, required to like an unsustainable amount,
Mm,
especially since COVID cut off a lot of times to
yeah.
like to go from, hey, we don't really have a lot of people putting in their hours because there's no flights. And also we're gonna up required flights to be a pilot. That's just not a market that's gonna work.
Yeah, it's like, "Okay, so we're gonna give you less time to do this stuff, but you need to make more hours happen."
Yeah, it
That
was
doesn't
I
come
think it
cheap.
was stupid. I'm big on I think regulation's good, but we need to be practical.
Yeah, and then not to get too political into it, but, I think it was Mitch McConnell, just he had another little incident the other day where he
Yeah,
paused in the middle of his speech, and, I'm not even I really don't wanna get into the politics of it or whatever, or who,
he was
like, which
having
side
a
he belongs
vision.
to, but, like, dude, that guy just, like, let him go home. He's old, man. Like, don't they
Well,
feel bad at that point? Like, he was in, like, whatever, like, a state that would've loved him, they were throwing him softballs and everything, and he just froze up, and, like, I just feel bad at that point.
I I was thinking like, okay, what was happening to him? For some reason, I thought he was having like the hypnotism effect from Zoolander, where it's just Will Ferrell saying, "Kill the governor of Malaysia."
Kill them. I mean, that's totally what it was. He had, like, the
That-
little devil on his shoulder and the angel, and they were like, "Kill them, Mitch, kill them." And he's like, "No, Mitch, don't do it. Do the speech." That's totally what was happening. He was having a
uh,
little crisis in his head.
Mitch McConnell has looked like he's 90 years old for 90 years now. It's
God.
impossible that he's lived this long. I mean, he's not going to last much longer. We really should find a replacement for him. I'm not saying that just because I think he's stupid. I also think that he should retire
Yeah, I think just
for his own sake.
at that point, like, I understand if, like, people if, like, a man or a woman can sign a paper still and everything, and they're still, um, they're still, quote, "fit enough to do the job."
Hmm.
But after a point, man, like, I think, like 20 years after retirement age, I think we should start to consider,
Hmm.
maybe we should have these guys go home. Maybe we should take a nap.
We had someone who was basically, I think, what looked paralyzed, still running as a congresswoman for the Democrats for like a good amount of time, and she was just in and out of the hospital, and then she would come back and like say nothing, and she would just have like a grin on her face that made it feel like she had no idea where she was, and she would like not vote on anything, and then she would just go back.
That's the thing, man. Like, so people that do want to actually make a difference in like politics and the stuff like that, they do have to be in it for so long that if
Hmm.
someone does get into a position like that where they can do something with actual like power, they're so old.
That's true. I mean,
Like whatever Joe was like a was he a senator or a congressman or something for like decades,
yeah. I
and then
mean,
yeah, and then he finally got to that spot. But like
I think I
I
might
don't
be
know,
wrong about this, but let me check when he became a senator.
it was a, I feel like it was a fairly long time ago.
I'm sure that Ronald Reagan was in office. Oh my god.
When?
Oh my god.
What year? What age? Is it
When
the Bronze Age?
LBJ was in office.
Holy shit. No
Wait,
way.
wait,
What
wait, wait,
year?
wait, wait, wait. 1972. Actually, is that LBJ? Would that be Nixon? That's Nixon. When Nixon
Dude,
was in
that's
office.
insane.
Oh my god.
Brother, he saw Watergate.
He Oh my god, you're right.
He had to deal with that.
Dude,
He totally had to deal with Watergate.
dude, his dude, he could have served in Nam.
Dude, Joe Biden with like an M16, I would pay for that picture. Holy shit. I'd pay so much money for Joe Biden, like,
MC
hanging out of a helicopter. "Do, do, 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 get some! Do, 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 get some! Get some!" You know what
M16
I'm
in one hand and just a ice cream cone in the
saying?
other.
Ice cream the other. I came here for the ice cream.
I don't get why that's like why is that the branding he's going for as like the ice cream guy? Is it like a Fidel Castro thing?
What else is he gonna do, man? I don't know. He's an old man.
That's true. They've
I
also
like,
tried some Dark Brandon stuff.
and yeah, dark. I saw that, but I mean the ice cream thing. I'm just like silly, and then like kids like ice cream, and I'm assuming the PR department's like, who doesn't like ice cream?
Yeah, I mean it's
Or he
not
just
bad
said it one
branding.
time, and they're like, I guess is he? Was that? Did we write that down? You know, but
Was that part of the speech, or was he
that's part of the
honest?
script. Either way, without diving into politics too much more,
Yeah.
thank you all for listening to Wham.
Yeah.
We gonna come back next week with a movie. Probably.
You just made the you made a robot noise on my part, and it made you sound like you were like it was the funniest noise ever.
What? I'll hear it later.
You sound like a
Oh.
it was funny.
Jesus. Anyway, we'll be here next week. We'll have another movie.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed. This has been Wham.
You've been whammed.
I'll see you guys later.
See ya.